Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. My name is Skarabda. Welcome back to the channel. It's a big week for Star Wars comics. We have 4 comics, and one of them is loaded with like 6 or 7 separate stories. So we're going to have a lot to talk about today. But first, subscribe to the channel if you want to know more about Star Wars comics here on Skarabda. I'm always breaking down the latest releases, so make sure you go ahead and do that. Thank you very much. So getting into it, we're going to start off with the High Republic. We're in Phase 3, Trials of the Jedi. This one is written by Kevin Scott with artwork by Jim Toe. This is Children of the Storm, Chapter 2, Sins of the Past. In this, we open up with Keeve Trennis as a Jedi initiate. She is being picked by her master Skier, and then we go back to present time, and she is being mind sliced by this character that is basically in charge, being commanded by the Hutts, right? We're back in this Hutt conflict with Lorna D there, who is now working with the Hutts. And Keeve Trennis is able to convince that this Hutt that her sister, the Maorga, was killed by Lorna D. And that ends up getting Lorna D really kind of mad, and she ends up showing her true colors as an independent character that is not tied to the Nile anymore, not under the leadership of Marchion Ro, and she's certainly not under the leadership of the Skarabda the Hutt. So she gets away without, destroying this whole place in the meantime, and Keeve Trennis saves the Hutt. In the meantime, you have this big battle that's happening between the Hutts, and then you had the Nile that come with the nameless creature, and the nameless creature is now dead, and we did get the fate of Tarek revealed, and they are, in fact, still alive, and they're fighting back-to-back with a Republic Defense Coalition officer named Sergeant Kemlin. I love the focus, by the way, on the grunts of the Republic that aren't clone troopers. Obviously, we're 200 years before those events, but it's nice seeing the characters that aren't Force-sensitive Jedi-powered characters. But we have a new Jedi character that is introduced in a vector, and that is Aldan Yaluk. So it's pretty cool getting more characters involved with Phase 3. So there is a moment where this character that is a child of the storm, which is the one that is shooting vegetation out of his hands. He's kind of like Poison Ivy. He's the one I was controlling, the nameless, and he lets a big mind-blowing piece of information out, basically referencing that the person that messed up his face where he has to use a mask is a Jedi in the occlusion zone. He's saying this Jedi in the occlusion zone did this to me, that's why I'm getting revenge on the Jedi, and he is basically referring to a Trandoshan Jedi. So we're led to believe that Skier is in fact alive. He got by the nameless for some reason, and it's because of that Force issue that he has, because maybe they're not going after him for that condition he has. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, but this issue was really good. Kevin Scott continues to build so much stakes and forward momentum in these High Republic comics. Getting into the next issue we're here to talk about is Darth Vader issue number 41, More Machine Than Man. Love that title. This is written by Greg Pak with artwork by Raphael Anko. We open up to Vader, who is now controlled by the Scourge, or is he? Because he basically was volunteering to allow one of those disc droids to infect them with the virus of the Scourge, and it turns out he has compartmentalized that virus into himself, and that means the Scourge can actually control him, but yet Vader can actually command these other disc droids to be subservient to him. So now Vader has kind of commanded through his own eyes his own little mini droid brigade. It's not anything grand with armies and legions, but he has a control of these droids. So it's very interesting, this independent Vader from the Scourge, controlled by the same kind of spark eternal power that is going around gathering resources and allies. And the whole crux of this issue is, as the title is described, he is more machine than man. The Scourge is still talking to Vader. He can hear him. Scourge says, "Give in to the machine, give in to the machine." And this is a line from Return of the Jedi. Ben Kenobi talked to Luke, he is more machine than man, right? That's that whole concept. And we're getting that meta kind of, investigation in this issue, which I absolutely love. Some stuff that happened at the end is Sly Moore, disgruntled Imperial, knocked down a couple pegs. She's realizing if you can't beat Vader, join him. and she is basically setting up this Imperial Schism storyline where it's her, that one Imperial that the Crimson Dawn they said they were part of. I don't know, the one that has the Space Marine suit, very interesting, and some newer character in the middle of that lineup. So I'm very curious for that one. Moving on to Dr. Aphra, issue number 39. Above All, of course, written by Alyssa Wong with artwork by Min-Kyu Jung. In this, we have the opening with Domina Tag, and the Scourge want Domina Tag because she has the resources, all the information about the entire galaxy. She's brilliant. So the idea of the Scourge is they're going to implant her with cybernetics, so then they can actually access her mind, and they can be part of the hive mind, if you will. So it's her trying to get away from the Scourge. Meanwhile, you have Dr. Aphra, who has gotten Magnetovan back, who seems to be stabilized okay right now, but still knocked out. And it's Aphra that devises a brilliant plan for slicing into these disc droids that transmit the virus from the Scourge to basically using feedback loops to just incapacitate anything that's affected by them. So she has simply kind of made a counter virus for the disc droids, and it's actually working. They go back to the Inquisitor, which is the ship that Domina Tag is on, and she is able to render a lot of those droids useless, and then decides, once they rescue Domina Tag from the ship, that she has to get rid of this ship, but it's before she confesses her love to Sanastaros finally, and does a very heroic feat where she actually sacrifices herself, we think, into this planet to destroy the Inquisitor ship that has a lot of information and stuff and a lot of other droids they want to destroy. But she had referenced that she did research on a certain planet that she goes to, so it leads to me to believe that Dr. Aphra is not indeed dead. Remember, it's the penultimate issue. We still have issue number 40 coming out, which is going to tie up this entire series. But it's a really good penultimate issue because it shows so much character progression for Aphra, who is a very centered character like Han Solo, didn't really care about anybody but herself, money, archaeology, power, and now we see her, actually professing her love, saving everybody, and I think that's really cool. So last but not least, we have Star Wars Revelations, which is essentially what we got last year, same sort of thing. This is all about what's coming up in 2024. So first story here is a Star Wars story. This one's called A Trick of the Mind, written by Charles Soule with Andrea De Vito. This one picks up in an imperial court with Dengar, who is being sentenced, and the defense attorney is trying to basically come up with he was being Jedi mind tricked. And it's just really funny. This is obviously more comedic, and it's led to believe that by the end of this, Lando is calling for help from this very same attorney. So it's very interesting stuff there. The idea of Star Wars dealing with courts is really funny because now you have this whole entity of magic essentially, and how is that going to affect different trials and whatnot. So pretty cool stuff there. Next one we have, these are all short stories, by the way. They're like maybe 4 or 5 pages long. We have a Dr. Aphra story called Tall Tales. This is written by Alyssa Wong with artwork by David Baldwin. In this, we have all of Aphra's lovers and friends from the past all gathered around this round table. They're just laughing, reminiscing, and then you have this one character coming in, this bounty hunter looking character, and her name is Raslin Grace, and she is talking all this smack about how she's a great hunter, about how she's undefeated, and just talking a lot of crap, and giving us this little story in how she took down this huge Nexu and all this, and about how her next target is Dr. Aphra. So this leads me to believe that there is more Aphra to come, not anytime soon, because Alyssa Wong announced on their Twitter that they wish they would be making more Star Wars right now. So yeah, it looks like we're not getting in her Alyssa Wong Aphra anytime soon. But going back over, we were just talking about the Dr. Aphra issue number 39 with her, taking that ship into hyperspace, hold the maneuver style into that planetoid or whatever it is. So this kind of confirms that she is alive. I don't know. Next up, we have Mace Windu Showdown at Ocean's Deep. Mark Bernardine writes this with artwork by Chris Ross. I'm not sure where in the timeline this is. If it's, in previous to the Clone Wars, obviously, we're not sure exactly where. But Mace Windu is infiltrating as a prisoner guard to find out more information about this one warden who apparently made skeleton keys and has this whole racket set up where he's going to give keys to these criminals to let them out, and they're paying him very nicely. So obviously Mace Windu is trying to get into that, and this warden finds out about Mace Windu and sets a trap for him to drown him in this underwater facility. Says to be continued. So we are getting the Mace Windu comics miniseries in February. So we're going to see, it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to need this issue to really get the full effect or what's going to happen there. We also have a Darth Vader story. This one is called Tool of the Empire, written by Greg Pak with Salvador Larroca on artwork. What is nice about this is the acknowledgement of Vader and his men and his subservient men. So we're getting this little droid that he's been working with. Forget the name, but he's been in all the issues so far, and he's having a discussion with Vader about how his death troopers were really under his command, but then the Emperor, snapped his fingers, and next thing you know, they were working for the Emperor, and they betrayed Vader, and Vader saying about the droids and controlling the droids, and it's just a really interesting dichotomy and separation, because then we get to see that the rebels are actually building their own kind of commando force that are augmented kind of like the Death Troopers, and according to the records, these guys are more effective than the Death Troopers even are. So it's very interesting to see the rebellion kind of experimenting with augmented troopers, but they are to come in the future. We also have a Jango Fett story called Stolen Hope. This is from Ethan Sachs with Will Slidey on this upcoming miniseries. So we get to see Jango Fett fighting a Korak slug, getting this information out of this character about the hope of Glee Ansem, which is going to be our MacGuffin, I guess, for this miniseries that we're seeing. But yeah, we get to see R. Singh, who is going to be going after Jango Fett, so pretty cool stuff there. And overall, I got the whole bounty hunter vibe from this story, as far as this feels like the bounty hunter video game. Jango Fett going after animal things, using every tool in his toolkit, flamethrowers, rockets, blasters, just really good, awesome action in there. So really much looking forward to the miniseries, which I think will be starting with the same creative team in March. We also got the High Republic, All the Republic. This is written, of course, by Cavan Scott with artwork by Marika Cresta. And this is her on the outskirts of the occlusion zone, by the storm shield there. She's kind of ranging around, trying to protect the innocent, finds that there's the Nile on this one planet. They have this thing called a Nile Stormwalker. And there's, locations of a Jedi with a lightsaber somewhere. She finds that this is not actually a Jedi, but a kid picked up the lightsaber of whoever this Jedi was. And she fights off these enemies and basically tells the kid, we gotta have hope here. And it's just like, it was kind of a nothing story, if I'm being honest. It was like, yeah, the High Republic, let's promote it. It's great. But this could have been anywhere in the timeline as far as like the High Republic. I don't know if we're going to follow up. Maybe we will see this kid character later on. I'm not quite sure. And last but not least, we have a Jabba the Hutt story. It's called Duel of the Reprobates. This is written by Mark Guggenheim with artwork by Salva Espin. And we have a character that has come back from Legends, and their name is Rick Duel. He was from the original Star Wars comics from Marvel in 1977. This is very much kind of like Tag and Binks, if you ask me. It's very, very good comedy, as we've seen from D-Squad that recently finished up by Mark Guggenheim. This man knows how to write Star Wars comedy. It is quite hilarious. So this guy owes Jabba money. He offers his services to Jabba to make up for that. Jabba is sending him on all these odd jobs, the jobs that nobody else wants to do. And this guy's surprisingly doing them okay. He's doing them. And the way he talks and he addresses Jabba just nonchalantly, this is not how you're going to approach a mafia boss. Otherwise, they would kill you. But he gets his way. I guess Jabba wants him around. And next thing you know, he's got a new job lined up. There's a couple characters here named Dama Gamil and Chinda Joe. This is a Rodian and some other girl. They are apparently also in the original comics. And he's been instructed by Bib Fortuna to work with this crew. And it says to be continued ? At the end of this. So I'm not sure if Mark Guggenheim is going to get an opportunity to write maybe a miniseries of these characters, but I'm so down because, oh man, there's some really funny, laugh out loud, quality type of moments in this that just had me dying reading this. This is really good stuff here. So great way to end off the issue. We also have some uncolored pages and some cover reveals for the upcoming Thrawn miniseries that is going to be out next month. In the back there, written by Jody Hauser and Timothy Zahn. So there you go. That's everything that came out for December 20th. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Are you looking forward to the upcoming Star Wars comics? Let me know. I'm always talking about these on the Star Wars Underworld podcast network on YouTube. Me and Matthew are breaking down on the Tractor Beam weekly show on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Join us there for a very in-depth discussion of everything I just talked about today. I'm also taking a break on Outer Rim Transmission, my own podcast on this very channel. We're going to be coming back on January 7th, so stay tuned for that. You can watch previous episodes now. Please do subscribe to the channel and join an awesome, positive Star Wars community by staying up to speed on all of my latest Star Wars content. Well, guys, that's going to do it for me, Staraptor. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Staraptor.